Alright, if you love diving into MMO dungeons with a few close friends, you already know the traditional experience comes with some, well, built-in frustrations. So today, in this explainer, we're exploring how Immortal Realm is completely changing the game. We're going to systematically unpack this system called expeditions. It's essentially the perfect structural cure for those old headaches, giving us instance group content specifically engineered for just 2 to 4 players. Trust me, it fundamentally alters how you're going to approach cooperative play.
I mean, we've literally all been there, right? You carefully plan a pull, you and your buddy have your strategy perfectly aligned, and then some random player in a chicken suit crashes into the room, aggroes half the map, and completely ruins everything. Look, open-world group content is fantastic for that ambient living world feel, but it carries this constant risk of being totally overrun by strangers. You lose control over your own instance, your pacing, and yeah, sometimes your own survival. That unpredictability can just completely derail a session when all you wanted was a focused run with your specific squad.
And then, on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, you have the exhausting overhead of massive raid schedules. So, on one hand, you've got the chaotic open world, and on the other, the rigid, calendar-blocking nightmare of trying to get dozens of people online at the exact same time. You're dealing with prerequisite gear gating, sitting in queues, managing literal spreadsheets just to play the game. Expeditions are designed to bypass both of these failure modes entirely. They give you the sheer freedom of spontaneous play, but without sacrificing the structure of a real, coordinated challenge.
Section 1. Structured play without waiting.
When you map out the Shard's broader ecosystem, expeditions sit in a really unique spot. If you look at how they compare to things like convoys or dungeons, expeditions require heavy coordination, but only for a small, tight-knit party of 2 to 4 players. They take place in a totally private instance, meaning zero stranger interference. There is a hard time pressure and a pretty brutal failure consequence: run forfeit. So unlike champion spawns or just random dungeon crawling, these are your absolute go-to for private, time-pressured, structured party play where everyone gets to share in the final completion reward.
Section 2. Anatomy of an expedition.
So the heart of this entire system is the charter. And this isn't just some boring quest log entry, it's an actual physical, blessed item issued by a lead NPC. The exact moment the party leader receives this item, boom, the expedition is created. The charter is the literal handle that creates and tracks your entire run. And because it's item-based, there's absolutely zero queuing system waiting for some server-side raid window. You fire this up on demand, completely on your own schedule. You want to run a hardcore dungeon with your guildmates at 3 a.m.? Go for it.
Now, forming your party is a highly specific mechanical process, and you really need to get the sequence right here. First, the leader grabs the charter. Second, you recruit your friends, or hey, even strangers from the comments. Third, and this is absolutely vital, your allies must physically stand near you within exactly 3 tiles to double-click the charter in your pack and actually join the roster. And finally, step 4. Joining does not teleport you. Everyone has to independently walk, recall, or take a moon gate out to the target region. If you aren't on that charter, the entry guard will literally just eject you.
Section 3. The charter and the clock. The second that charter hits your pack, the pressure is officially on. The entire structure of an expedition is defined by its unyielding time limit. There is no pausing halfway through to grab a snack. You have exactly 90 minutes to complete your run, and that clock never stops. It starts ticking the absolute second a lead NPC hands you the charter. Whether your party is out there efficiently clearing objectives or just hopelessly lost in the woods trying to find the front door, those 90 minutes are draining away. It's deliberately tight for first-timers learning the ropes, but comfortably paced for experienced groups.
However, if you're properly buffed by order systems, you can actually stack those bonuses to buy your party a much more comfortable window before you even set foot inside. The High Ledger can grant up to an extra 15 minutes based on your tier, and the College of Courageans can add up to 10 more. The real secret sauce here is that these buffs stack additively. So, a fully prepared, fully buffed party can stretch that initial 90 minutes into a really comfortable 115-minute window. That gives you a massive tactical cushion.
And the good news is, you don't have to guess when disaster's about to strike. The system blasts mandatory warnings to all online members exactly when 15 minutes and then 5 minutes remain. This makes sure your entire squad knows exactly when it's time to stop playing it safe and make that desperate final push for the objective.
Section 4. Inside the private instance.
Okay, let's look at what actually happens once your party steps across the boundary into the dungeon itself. The environment completely shifts to support your specialized team. The beauty of this private instance is that progress is entirely shared. If your rogue flips a lever halfway across the map, the objective checks off for everyone instantly.
You've also got a visible checklist and timer gumped up at all times. But honestly, perhaps the best feature is how it handles real-world problems. A simple internet disconnect won't ruin your night. If you drop offline, upon reconnecting, the system confirms your active expedition, and a quick rejoin button simply teleports you straight to the party's latest updated checkpoint. Do keep in mind, though, death here works just like any other death. You drop a standard corpse, and you'll have to rely on your party to resurrect you.
And this setup brilliantly illustrates the difference between a minor technical hiccup and a true failure. Because the charter is a physical item with a serial number, the leader disconnecting doesn't end the run. The expedition just continues normally as long as the charter exists. But make no mistake, if that timer hits 0, or if every member hits leave expedition, you fail completely. You're teleported out, the charter goes up in literal flames, and you get absolutely nothing. 0 partial credit.
Section 5. Delving the Sunken Archives.
To see how this all builds into an actual practical run, let's look at the very first live expedition currently available on the Shard, the Sunken Archives. This is going to give us a really concrete look at how these mechanics translate into actual gameplay. So this is a deeply thematic aquatic knowledge recovery mission. It's not just some generic monster bash. It's a highly focused operation to preserve lost centuries of information. Your journey starts with Archivist Marek, the Keeper of Lost Knowledge, who's hanging out near the Britain docks in Trammel. He's the lead NPC who will issue your charter and, of course, start that clock.
Once you're inside the flooded library, you have to complete 4 shared objectives in a strict sequence. And you got to pay close attention to step 1 here. You must unlock the inner gate, which explicitly requires the lockpicking skill. Take it from experience. If you assemble your elite squad of warriors and mages, but completely forget to bring a lockpicker, well, your expedition is over before it even begins. From there, you'll be hunting down 3 scattered waterlogged tomes, breaching a sealed vault door, and finally facing off against a corrupted water spirit boss, the Archivist, to recover the ancient scroll.
Now, the payoff for surviving that boss and turning in the scroll is massive, and it entirely bypasses traditional loot drama. Every single party member gets a dedicated drop injected straight into their pack. We're talking 1,500 gold, 10 time tokens, 3 blood crystals, and the grand prize, a rare archived knowledge volume. You'll also earn a seasonal ledger source credit, which makes this incredibly valuable for civic archival players who really care about durable record keeping. Basically, everyone gets their fair share just for contributing to the win.
Section 6. One-shot, high stakes.
But hold on, before you rush off to assemble your squad and try to farm this all weekend, there is one absolutely critical rule you need to understand about the Sunken Archives. You get exactly 1 successful completion per account, ever. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Just 1. Once you successfully clear this specific expedition, a tag is permanently applied to your account, and Archivist Mark will never issue another charter to you again.
And because failing or just letting the timer expire permanently burns your charter with 0 partial credit, the stakes could not possibly be higher. The game itself literally advises you to treat your one run as a real attempt. You really cannot just casually stroll in to see what it looks like. If you burn your charter on a careless run, or, if you don't bring that lockpicker, you forfeit your attempt entirely.
So gather your absolute most trusted allies, keep a close eye on that clock, and plan your strategy carefully, because this is an experience you quite literally only get to conquer once. How is your party going to coordinate those 90 minutes? Will you stack those order buffs to buy yourself some breathing room, or will you risk a raw, unbuffed run? Dive into the details, coordinate your skills, and make that one shot really count. Thanks for hanging out with us for this explainer. Now get out there and don't let the clock run out.